Large TVs are great, but a projector is the secret to a true home theater. A projector offers a visceral, cinematic experience that evokes something deeper than a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio or high refresh rate does. In part 1, we shared a tour of my family room and what makes it up. Today, we're sharing part 2, which is how we install a projector. That involves how we cut the drywall, route the signal wires, add an outlet, mount the projector, and calibrate it. If your house doesn't have easily accessible subfloor joists from below, we'll also show you how you can run power and signal a different way. At the end of this video, you should have a good understanding of how we went from an empty wall above the kitchen to having a 130-inch home theater in our family room. Goes without saying, but to be thorough, at this point we decide where we want our projector. For the thinking process I went through, see part 1 where we planned the layout of the family room. We decided on this spot between the rear speakers. This is where the projector mount, outlet, and signal wiring will go. When you've definitively decided where you want your image displayed and where you're going to mount your projector, we need to decide where we're going to run two things: signal wires and power wires. Let's focus on signal wires and focus on power wires after this chapter. Signal wires are for your HDMI, your Ethernet, your sound, and any other specific things you want to run for video, audio, or internet. Let's focus on which signal wires to run. In essence, you only actually need to run video wires to the projector because the Apple TV and sound system are already connected to each other in the other corner of the room, and all they need to do is send a video signal to output to the projector. In practice, some projectors have optical audio out, some don't, some old sound systems only have audio in and don't have HDMI switches built in, and in other scenarios, you might want to put your Apple TV up on the projector, which I actually had to do for the first version of this to get it to work with my old sound system. All of that, and needless to say, in practice, I found it's best to run 2 high-quality HDMI cables, if not 3, at least 1 optical audio cable, and at least 1 Ethernet cable. This will give you flexibility in the future if you change your mind and decide to put your media devices up on the projector mount if they're small. Now that we've settled which signal wires, let's settle where we run the wires. When you typically run wires in a house, you have 3 options: go up, go down, or go sideways. In my house, I was fortunate that it's easy to go down, that is basically under and through the floor, because my ceiling is so high, but in a lot of homes, you can go up, which is up through the wall, into the attic, and across the attic, then go down at the other side. If you're completely out of options, you can go through the room, or go sideways, and tear through the drywall along the wall to the media console, but that's a lot of work and a lot of patching to do. If you're in an apartment, you can also run cables along the wall using runners, like these, which go above the drywall and don't necessitate ripping up drywall, then along the floor with runways, like this rubber runway here. This settles the where. In my scenario, I went down and through the floor, but in many cases you're probably going to go up and through the attic, then down through the wall. Now that we've addressed the where, let's figure out how much wire we need. All in all, I measured roughly 55 feet to run the video and audio cables from the projector, down through the wall, through the floor, and up through the other wall to the media console. Roughly 70 feet to keep going all the way through the basement to the server rack for the internet cable. At this point, we buy 2 or even 3 ultra-long HDMI cables, which in my case were 65 feet each, and 100 feet of Ethernet cabling. I painstakingly learned that not all HDMI cables are created equal, even if they have a number of 5-star reviews that look legitimate. After I installed 2 80-foot-long fiber optic HDMI cables, both failed within 2 weeks. This was after I re-drywalled and patched everything up. What happened is I started getting no signal errors, with the image flickering in and out, and then eventually no image entirely. I had to rip out all of the patching and painstakingly rerun new cables. Learn from my mistake and buy and install 2, maybe even 3 HDMI cables in case one fails. I ended up testing the new cables for 2 weeks before sealing up 2 65-foot-long fiber optic HDMI cables. The newer, nicer cables were more expensive but more reliable. They cost around $100 each. For testing, I recommend testing your setup for at least 2 weeks before patching up the drywall. You might save yourself a headache in the future. For power, we need to find out where we can tap into to extend a power wire to the projector and make an outlet next to it. If you don't feel comfortable doing this part, you might benefit from hiring an electrician. If you feel comfortable doing this, but don't have an accessible basement, then a nearby outlet is a good option. I have an outlet here, behind this console. There are no current exceeding devices on this circuit, and what I would have to do is tear up the drywall around the outlet, add a wire, and then patch it all up. The projector uses 2 to 4 amps, so be aware of that and how many devices you have on the circuit overall, to try and not exceed the usual 15 amp max on most circuits. You want to tap into a circuit that makes sense, so don't tap into your lights, for example, if you have a separate circuit for lights and outlets. We then plan where we're going to run the Romex wire from our source to the projector. In my case, I had a circuit I could tap into in the basement. My power wire went left from the projector, going down through the wall, into the basement, between the subfloor joists, to this electric box. Now that we've planned how we're going to run the power wire, let's proceed to the installation. With everything planned, we proceed with the careful destruction of drywall where we need to make holes. It helps if you install your speakers first. Without having to make any additional holes, I could remove a speaker and look inside and see where I needed to make further holes. I also purchased a fiber optic camera for looking into my car's cylinders, but I found this to be a helpful tool when routing wires through walls at home, and use this camera for this installation and for installing internet wires in the office and fixing speaker wires on the other side of the family room. With the projector mounting location decided, we needed to unpackage the projector mount and mock up how wide it is on the wall, noting to mount it where studs are. We need to do this in order to find out where to put another accessory, a media outlet and wire box that will go on the side of the projector mount. With the mount mocked up and the location of the media outlet box marked, and with the speaker removed, I found the studs I would have to make holes in and made the holes for the wires and media outlet box. Similarly, we make holes if we need to at the media console for the cables to come up from the basement to the media console. In your house, they might come down from the attic. At this point, we drill through any horizontal fire blocks that otherwise block our wires from traveling downwards into the basement, using either 3/4 inch or 7/8 inch spades. Thanks to our experience with cars, we use a right angle hex bit adapter to make our lives easier. From the basement, I first roughly estimated where the wall above it is by measuring from other walls, and then identified where the drill bit would come out. I then first checked that I wouldn't hit anything by drilling downwards. After I verified I wouldn't puncture any plumbing or electrical or any other utilities, I proceeded by drilling downwards through the subfloor to make holes for the power and signal. If you hit a subfloor joist, you'll want to slightly adjust the hole, so I recommend using a longer, thinner drill bit, first to confirm where the hole comes out, then a spade to make the hole bigger. I made holes into the basement in the wall where the projector is, followed by holes at the media console so the cables can come up. Find out whether the circuit you are connecting to is rated for 15 or 20 amps. If it is 20 amps, install a 12 gauge Romex wire. If it's 15, you can install a 14 gauge wire. If you're not sure, plug something in that makes sound and go to your breaker box, then turn off the circuit breakers until you find which circuit you're tapping into. The circuit breaker should say what it's rated for. At this point, we can tap into that outlet we found, or in my case, I tapped into a circuit available at a box here in my subfloor. At this point, we run signal and audio. I ran the two 65-foot HDMI cables and one long optical audio cable through the wall, into the basement, then along the subfloor joists, then along this metal support beam, then up through the subfloor into the wall, and out of the hole in the drywall at the media console. To wire Ethernet, I needed around 100 feet of Ethernet cabling, a crimp tool, and a set of new Ethernet connectors. I ran one Ethernet cable from the projector to the future server rack, and a second cable from the media console to the server rack. To run the cable, you cut the connector off one end of the 100-foot cable, stick the cut end through the holes, run the wire, cut it where you need to, and finally crimp a new connector on at the other end. There are a ton of videos on YouTube on how to do this, and I'll link a good one in the description below under this chapter. The two accessories that make this setup work are the media outlet box and projector mount. First, we want to install the bracket for the projector mount, and then we can mock up the media outlet box next to it. You want to make sure you hit wood, and I was lucky because I had framing running across horizontally here, so I hit studs in the middle of the bracket and hit framing all along the bottom of the bracket. If you are unsure, you can use a stud finder or use one of the many holes we made earlier to find your framing inside the wall. The mount includes thick bolts, and we should make sure to use them in order to mount our projector reliably. For the surrounding bolts, we mounted the projector into drywall, but these bolts are basically doing nothing. We'll finish installing the projector mount arm in the next step, which is super easy. So for now, we'll move on to installing the media outlet box. Now it's time to install the media outlet box. This outlet box lets you install an outlet into existing drywall work and also pass through signal wires. We need this media outlet box, an outlet electrical box that will hold the outlet and wiring, an outlet to install, a faceplate for the outlet, and some basic electrical tools like pliers and a screwdriver. To install the outlet, we install the outlet box into the media box and then pull the wire in. We then wire the outlet as we would normally, tighten it in, and install the faceplate. I had to trim the plastic faceplate on one side so that it would fit. I used a Dremel to do so. The media box has plastic drywall grabbers that grab and hold onto the drywall from inside. I removed 2 of them on one side since I ran into a stud and simply screwed in the media box on one side into the stud. Lo and behold, we have an installed media outlet box with an outlet and signal wires. Test the outlet to ensure it's wired properly. Mounting the projector was easy thanks to included brackets with the mount. Projectors usually have 3 or 4 holes and support being flipped, so all we did is install a provided bracket, then install the bracket onto the mount. This mount is great, and I'll link it in the description. We made sure it hit studs for most of the holes for a reliable mount. The bracket gets installed on the projector and is basically plug and play to then install and adjust the projector. There are cable channels to hide the wiring and beauty covers for the projector mount base. The projector itself has adjustments, and so does the projector mount. First, we adjust the zoom on the projector to be roughly the correct size. Next, on the projector, we can use the horizontal and vertical dials to adjust where the image is projected. A full review of this Epson projector is coming to the tech channel. But in short, this is why this specific model is awesome. It has horizontal and vertical shift dials that let you move the image a surprising amount without having to move the projector. It honestly feels like dark magic, but it works great. If you find you are using the horizontal dial a lot, you can also adjust the left-right adjustment of the projector on the mount using a dial. Now that the image is roughly in place, we touch up the zoom, and finally, to not distort the image, we want the projected image to be parallel to the opposite wall. When we install the projector, there's a chance our rear wall is not perfectly parallel to the other wall, which happens all the time in homes. And since it can be misaligned by a few degrees, we need to turn the projector clockwise or counterclockwise, such that the projected image isn't bigger on one side than the other. Have someone measure the left side of the image and the right side with a tape measure, while the other person turns the clockwise counterclockwise knob on the mount to physically turn the projector to project flatly on the opposing wall. As mentioned previously, test this setup for a few weeks before you patch the drywall. You never know if your HDMI cables are going to fail. Now that we've made sure the cables haven't failed, 2 weeks later, we patch the drywall and paint. In the first iteration, I tested putting an Apple TV up on the projector mount, since we had a 2-decade-old Harman Kardon sound system that took an optical audio and didn't have an HDMI switch built in. We passed audio to the audio system using an HDMI optical audio splitter, and it worked beautifully. When we got the Sony AVR, the whole setup could move to the corner of the room since it has an 8K HDMI switch built in, and this is the final setup. Regardless of where you put your media devices, having all of the signal wires in the walls helps enable a versatile setup. We have an Xbox and the Apple TV connected to an Ethernet bridge so that everything is reliably wired for multiplayer and content. For an overview of how well this functions, see Part 1, the family room tour. In future videos, we're going to cover how to extend speaker wires through walls, review the projector in detail, review the sound system in detail, and more. See the description for the whole series. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope I helped inspire or assist your own media setup today.